Oh my God.
These were the chilling cries echoing through the hill country of central Texas on the morning of July 4, 2025. What was meant to be a day of celebration quickly turned into a nightmare. A monstrous flash flood, described by meteorologists as a once-in-a-century event, ripped through towns, took lives, and washed away everything in its path. At least 27 people are confirmed dead. Dozens more are still missing. Families shattered. Homes gone. Communities drowned in the early hours before sunrise, torrential rain, over a foot in some places, overwhelmed creeks, rivers, and drainage systems. The Guadalupe River surged more than 26 feet in under an hour. Towns like Kerrville, Hunt, Ingram, and Comfort were caught entirely off guard. The water came fast, too fast. Many were sleeping. Others were trapped in vehicles or stranded on rooftops. Emergency alerts gave residents less than 20 minutes to evacuate. For many, it wasn't enough time. Perhaps the most devastating story comes from Camp Mystic near Hunt. 23 young girls, aged between 12 and 15, were swept away when floodwaters engulfed their riverside cabins. It happened so fast there was barely time to scream. As of now, 3 of them have been confirmed dead: Lainey Landry, Renee Smeister, and Sarah Marsh. The rest are still missing. 3 survivors were found clinging to trees miles downstream, cold, terrified, and in shock. Their stories haunt rescuers and parents alike. Over 800 rescue personnel from the National Guard, FEMA, Coast Guard, and local EMS teams were dispatched. Helicopters scanned debris-filled rivers. Sonar-equipped boats searched for signs of life beneath the murky surface. Kerrville's mayor, visibly emotional, declared a state of disaster and begged the community to come together in prayer. Meanwhile, families gathered at shelters and fire stations, desperate for news. Some held on to hope. Others clutched photographs, weeping, knowing the worst may already have come. More than 300 homes were destroyed in Kerrville alone. Streets turned into rivers. Entire neighborhoods vanished beneath the flood. In the towns of Ingram and Comfort, 4 RV parks were obliterated. Residents woke up floating, clinging to their trailers, screaming for help. Bridges collapsed, isolating ranches and emergency services. 2 major bridges in Comfort were swept away, and the Comfort Municipal Airport remained submerged for 2 days. Rural roads? Gone. Utility poles? Snapped like twigs. More than 5,000 lost power. Communication went dark. Chaos ruled. Beyond human tragedy, the land suffered too. Over 700 cattle drowned, entire hay fields washed away, and feed stores contaminated. The economic damage to agriculture alone exceeds $2 million, but to the ranchers and farmers, it's more than money. These were family legacies. Generational lands. Gone. Barns crushed. Fences shredded. livelihoods erased in a single night. To make things worse, floodwaters contaminated municipal water supplies. Boil advisories were issued across Kerrville, Ingram, and Comfort. Water treatment plants were overwhelmed or destroyed, leaving thousands without safe drinking water for days. The culprit? A stalled mesoscale convective system, pulling warm Gulf air and dumping relentless rain over the hill country. In some areas, rain fell at a rate of 6 inches per hour. The terrain, already dry and crusted, couldn't absorb it. Instead, water funneled rapidly downhill into narrow valleys and floodplains. Rivers like the Guadalupe swelled beyond their limits. Levees failed. The damage was swift, and it was unforgiving. More than 1,200 people were evacuated and are now living in schools, churches, and community centers converted into emergency shelters. Volunteers poured in, nurses, veterinarians, students, neighbors. They brought food, blankets, medicine, hope. Hospitals are overwhelmed, treating victims for hypothermia, deep cuts, and dangerous infections from contaminated floodwater. Mobile triage tents were set up. Ambulances haven't stopped moving. Mental health counselors are working round the clock, trying to help children process the trauma, parents grieve lost loved ones, and survivors begin to understand the magnitude of what just happened. More than 1,200 people were evacuated and are now living in schools, churches, and community centers converted into emergency shelters. Volunteers poured in, nurses, veterinarians, students, neighbors. They brought food, blankets, medicine, hope. Hospitals are overwhelmed, treating victims for hypothermia, deep cuts, and dangerous infections from contaminated floodwater. Mobile triage tents were set up. Ambulances haven't stopped moving. Mental health counselors are working round the clock, trying to help children process the trauma, parents grieve lost loved ones, and survivors begin to understand the magnitude of what just happened. We are witnessing not just a weather disaster, but a human one. Families are still waiting to hear the fate of their loved ones. Photos line the walls of community centers. Missing persons, lost pets, destroyed memories. In the silence after the storm, there is grief. But there is also unity. Churches are offering meals. Ranchers are sharing resources. Strangers have become lifelines. The Texas spirit remains unbroken, even as floodwaters swallow the very ground they call home.